It's no surprise that rideshare drivers encounter some pretty interesting characters.
An Uber driver in Minneapolis turned those trips into tales and published a book about his adventures behind the wheel. Jason DeRusha reports.
When he hears his app chime, 28-year-old Evan Kale knows it's time to get to work.
So I see your rating.
Since 2014, Evan has tried to make a living driving for Uber and Lyft.
Which amazes me because I certainly didn't think I was going to be doing it for that long.
At first, it was a side hustle designed to make money while he worked on his dream of being a screenwriter.
I essentially created a business around it that, well, as I discovered, didn't work.
Evan bought used luxury cars designed to get his passengers to behave better and tip him more.
Actually kind of backfired. People assumed because I had a nice car, I was rich.
Evan did most of his driving late at night. Average people, celebrities, business executives. He never knew if his next adventure was going to be amazing or horrifying.
You had a guy trying to sell you drugs.
I've had many people try to sell me drugs.
These teachers were heavily intoxicated.
You drove a porn star?
Evan started taking notes. It wasn't a movie, but it became this book, Ubered, My Life as a Rideshare Driver.
Trip 1, Trip 3, Trip 5, all the way to Trip 3,500 and something.
Trip 1021 was the Harlem Globetrotters. On Trip 1765, someone points a rifle at him. And there's trip after trip where he's offered money for sex. That surprised me.
It doesn't happen all the time, but it happens at least once a month if I'm driving late at night.
As for the making legit money aspect of the job, Kale says it's essentially been a bust.
Factoring depreciation, factoring gas, factoring maintenance, everything else, like you make very, very, very little money.
He says his gross revenue wasn't awful, around $120,000 in 4 years, so $30,000 a year. That's for driving 140,000 miles.
Shudder to think of how many tires I've gone through.
Uber's been involved in several studies. They've all found that rideshare drivers average around $20 per hour before expenses.
The money that you make in 1 week is going to pay for the next week, and if something goes wrong, then you'll find yourself in the hole.
Plus, when you order an Uber, the driver doesn't know where you're going. So Evan might get paid to drive you to Hudson, and then he's losing money burning gas going home.
Well, that makes running a business really, really difficult.
Despite all the wild, crazy, scary customers, Evan keeps driving.
Everything is up to you. You don't have a schedule. You don't have anyone to report to.
Work when you want.
Work when you want.
And Evan never knows what his next ride might bring.
It's a fascinating drink of the human experience. You know, you get to see people behaving their best and their worst.
Uber has not yet responded to a request for comment on Kale's book.
If he sells a few, he might make a little money there.
There you go.
Yep.
Intent, I bet.
Force looking to write a new chapter for themselves.
They certainly are 2 wins away from claiming that first ever Clark Cup title. We've got highlights from Youngstown next.